ASMR movie review. So I recently went to go watch Rogue One, the recent Star Wars movie, at the movie theater. Its official title is Rogue One, a Star Wars Story. It's a spin-off of the main series of Star Wars films. There are currently 7 Star Wars movies that have come out in the main series, and this is a spin-off that takes place before A New Hope, which was originally the first and only Star Wars movie. So this movie takes place like right before that one. So this is going to be a spoiler-free review until about halfway through, or the last half, and I will give a spoiler warning before I actually get into spoiler stuff, so don't worry about me, spoiling any plot points and stuff for the movie. So, some backstory first. I went to go see the movie basically 2 weeks ago, I'd say. Right about, I went like 3 days after the movie officially came out in theaters. And I went to go see it at nighttime. It was like a night showing of the film, and it was full of people in the theater. Like, the entire theater was full of people going to see Star Wars. And what really brought a smile to my face was the amount, variety. Whoa, I was struggling with that for a second. Variety of different kinds of people that went to go see the movie. Like, you'd have these little kids that came, teenagers, parents that came with their kids, adults, single adults, coming just alone or with a friend or something. And then you'd have people in their 60s, 70s that came alone to go watch it. And I just thought it was great, you'd have all sorts of ages coming to go see Star Wars. And it was funny because when I went to see Suicide Squad a few months ago, the theater was full of basically teenage girls. I don't know if it was the time of day that I went, but it was the opening day, I believe, and it was insane because it was completely full of teenagers and mostly teenage girls. I assume that Harley Quinn was one of the factors, but it's always nice to see Star Wars is basically for everyone, and to see that represented in the audience was really nice. So I'm sitting there amongst all these people, and they start showing trailers, and the funny thing was they played the trailer for Rogue One right before the movie started. And I always find it really funny how movie theaters will sometimes play the movie trailer for a movie you're going to watch. Like, when I went to go see Man of Steel, the Superman movie, they actually played the trailer before the movie started, and everyone in the theater, was laughing and pointing it out. So this actually happened with Star Wars Rogue One, so that put a smile on my face. So, first off, this movie was directed by Gareth Edwards. He's the guy that directed the Godzilla movie that came out 2-3 years ago. I thought that movie was okay. It had Bryan Cranston. He did pretty good in that movie. His acting's always great, I think. And I enjoyed it. I have to say I enjoyed that Godzilla movie, but I was a little bit worried on how he would deliver a good Star Wars movie. And going into this, I was a little bit, I wasn't going in with any expectations, I thought, it's going to be a normal Star Wars movie. It's going to be Star Wars, and I basically stayed away from some of the later trailers. much about the story. So I have to say that I was really impressed with this movie. Solid cast. It had a very solid cast. Very good actors, and I don't know. I feel like the story in this movie, because it was so unique, even as a spin-off, I slightly liked it better than the Force Awakens story, if you can believe it. The main character is Jyn Erso, played by actress Felicity Jones. Felicity Jones has appeared in like a few other movies and TV shows. She's pretty good. And some other great actors that appear in this movie are Mads Mikkelsen, the famous actor that's been in like lots of movies like Casino Royale, and he's better known for playing Hannibal on the Hannibal TV series. He was the main villain in Doctor Strange, and he's been in lots of movies, and he's gonna be in Hideo Kojima's video game Death Stranding that's coming out soon. Forrest Whitaker was in this movie. We have, what's his name? Diego Luna, Rio Ahmed, Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen was amazing in this movie. I'm a big Donnie Yen fan. In this movie, he plays like a Force-sensitive monk. Now, he's not a Force user like a Jedi, but he's like a Force-sensitive user that's like more like monk, like a monk character. Similar to those that you'd find in like a Kung Fu movie or something. He's really cool. Jiang Wen and Alan Tudyk. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's awesome. He plays this robot droid that's a comedy relief character. Let me see if I remember his name. I think it was like KRS. Or, what's his name again? He's called... I don't know. I forget. I mean, I've only seen the movie once. I need to go see it again at the theater. But it was like KRSD or something. Very funny android. I thought he was awesome. He added some like comedic elements to the movie, and it was really needed because some of the scenes in this film are like very dark and like serious in tone. So this movie starts out, as I said, no spoilers, so don't worry. With Jyn Erso's character, she's like I'm gonna say, character that's like just fed up with everyone. Like, she's not for the rebellion or for like the Imperial Army at all. You know, she's not with the good or the bad side. She's basically, you know, just laying low and living her own life amidst this like conflict, this war. And it like starts like a sort of cliche, I'd say, maybe in the Star Wars series, but she meets up with some other characters that then meet up with other characters, and they form a group, like a crew. And it's, you know, I feel like the story had a lot of development for the characters. They could have just gone the easy route and introduced the character for like 1 minute and then moved on to the next character, like they do in lots of movies. But in this movie, they took time to actually talk about every single character. They showed a little bit of their backstory or some of their ulterior motives. You get to really understand their personalities, I feel. And that's a really good thing. I felt that Donnie Yen's character in the movie was one of my favorites. And I'd say Jyn Erso is also one of my favorite characters in this movie. And Alan Tudyk's character, by the way, or Tudyk, is K2SO. So, yeah. Why was I saying KRS? I have no idea. KRS-One is a rapper, by the way, so that's probably why I was mistaking his name. But K2SO. So, Donnie Yen plays a character called Jurut, and yeah, it's hard to pronounce. A lot of characters in this movie have names that are a little bit harder to pronounce than Luke or Leia and stuff. But these special effects are really good, like amazing in this movie, and the music. One thing that stood out to me was The Force Awakens. The music in that movie was good, but it played it safe, like it went with the usual Star Wars sound. Whereas Rogue One, it felt completely new, but it still had like that classic Star Wars sound that you knew from like other films. But it's completely different, and I can't put my finger on it, but it just sounds really good throughout the movie. Like during intense scenes, you'll have like this background music playing, and it's just really good. So the music's great. The special effects are amazing. I'd say the special effects in Rogue One are actually better looking than the ones in Force Awakens. There are scenes in this movie that I actually could not look away from the screen because of just how suspenseful and intense the scenes were. The action scenes in this are a lot better than the ones in Force Awakens. And certain scenes that I was a little disappointed we didn't get a lot of in Force Awakens. Like, I'm a fan of space battles. Like, I really like to see the different spacecrafts, ships and things in outer space fighting together right above planets and stuff. You get a lot of that in this movie. So it kind of feels like, the ending to Return of the Jedi, when you have all these ships just fighting outside of the Death Star and stuff. It feels like that, and that's not a spoiler because there's a lot of air battles, space battles in this movie. So I was a big fan of that. And locations, I felt like this movie, we got to see a lot of different planets and locations that aren't even shown in the trailers. And yeah, I really like the variety of locations they visit in this movie. And let's see, what else? The tone of this movie is very serious. It's probably one of the more serious Star Wars movies. I'd say maybe Empire Strikes Back and Revenge of the Sith are the only other Star Wars movies that kind of have a darker tone like this one. This one does not play around with a PG rating. This is a serious PG-13 movie. Force Awakens went back and forth between a family-friendly movie and a serious, dark Star Wars movie. This one went completely in the other direction. There are deaths in this movie, and there's lots of emotional moments and stuff. I'll put it at that. Now I'm going to talk about some spoilers. So, if any of you have not seen this movie yet, I suggest you pause the video right now and go watch the movie. And if you have watched it, well, then that's fine. I'm going to talk about spoilers. Or if you're not interested or don't care about spoilers, just keep watching the video. Spoilers in 5 seconds. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So, Darth Vader is in this movie. Now, he was previously teased in the trailers. No one knew how many scenes Darth Vader was going to be in. he's in this movie, and he appears in more than one scene. He does a great job. Great job. Darth Vader is great in this movie. I mean, I feel like I'm just jumping to like what everyone wants to hear, but Darth Vader, So we first see him, one of the main villains in this movie. We see him go on a ship to visit like a molten lava like planet. Some people online are speculating, since they didn't give the planet's name, that this planet was actually Mustafar, the planet that originally Anakin Skywalker died on and became Darth Vader. So people are saying that that's this planet. We don't know that, but it's possible. There's this huge fortress right in the mountain of this like volcano, like this base of a volcano. It's like this huge fortress. So this villain lands on here, goes inside. There's like a huge pod, and out comes Darth Vader. And then he talks to this villain, in his usual voice. I'd have to say that the voice of Darth Vader was about 99% accurate to the old movies. His voice just seemed like a little bit different, like they needed to use the exact same setting or audio setting, preset or whatever for his voice. It just felt like a little bit different when he said some lines, but other than that, he sounded like Darth Vader, and it was great. He threatened this guy, of course. We get to see him like force choked, all that stuff. Darth Vader. And then he shows up at the end of the movie. Now, this is probably like the biggest spoiler in the movie, but at the end of the movie, Darth Vader becomes so angry that the plans for the Death Star are stolen because of incompetence and stuff, because people didn't listen to him, and just a bunch of stuff happened. So he's really angry. He boards like one of the ships seen at the beginning of A New Hope, and A New Hope starts with Darth Vader boarding the ship, and everyone shooting at him, getting shot at, they're dying. And then we get to see R2-D2, C-3PO, and Leia in a room where she gives them like a secret message to deliver to Ben Kenobi. So this movie ends right at that point. So it's amazing. We get to see, though, like the 30 seconds before that, what Darth Vader is doing. And I mean, it's one of the scariest scenes in Star Wars history, I'd say. Because he's so angry, he lands on the ship. The doors open, it's completely dark, and then you see like a shadow figure like just appear in the doorway. And it's Darth Vader, and he he turns on his lightsaber. It's completely red. He walks into the room, and then everyone's just like frozen, and then starts shooting at him. And immediately he starts grabbing guys, with the Force, throwing them up into the ceiling, throwing his lightsaber at them, slicing back and forth, throwing other guys into other people, force choking people across the room, all while he's walking slowly and using his lightsaber. He's attacking and slashing at everyone. I mean, he took out like 30 guys in this one area, and we see them like barely escaping, like one guy. And this guy passes a message to someone else, and they lock another pod area of this ship, like they lock the door. And then we see Darth Vader going there with his troops, knocking that door down, and then killing everyone in that room. And then everyone in that room's like passing the Death Star plans to the next guy. So it's just like this really, really, like, battle to the last soldier, where they're all dying, but they're all trying to pass the information of the Death Star plans to one another before Darth Vader gets to them. Oh man, it was an amazing scene. I really loved it. scenes in the movie. Like, I could rewatch that scene like 30 times, I'd say, and still not get tired of it. So, yeah, that was a great scene. And then it ends with Leia's face. Like, we get to see Leia. Rest in peace, Carrie Fisher. She passed away recently. But they use a CGI model of her face from the original New Hope movie. And she's standing there, and the CGI looks actually really good. Like, you know it's CGI, but it still looks like her face. It doesn't look fake, doesn't look bad. And I was really happy with it. I thought it was a perfect way to end the movie. And talking about CGI, there's also other characters in this movie. Like, what's his name? Peter Cushing. Peter Cushing appeared in the original Star Wars movies. And he passed away, of course, a long time ago, I believe. But they used his CGI likeness as a sort of tribute in this movie. And he's amazing. Like, he's really good. I thought he was like one of the better parts of this movie. It doesn't look like CGI. Like, I thought they did a great job with his face. And, you know, he's the same character that he is in the old Star Wars movies. You know, he's like cold, very cold, manipulative character. He even questions Darth Vader and stuff. So, yeah, we all know how he ends up in the later movies, but great job seeing Peter Cushing playing what's his name? Tarkin, I believe. Yeah, Tarkin. So, the movie starts with Jyn Erso at home as a child, and her dad's Mads Mikkelsen. This actor, Galen Erso, I believe is his name, and we see Jyn, you know, as a child, you know, hanging out with her father and just having a good time, and Imperial soldiers come down, and basically she has to hide because her dad knows that this means like serious business. And they basically threaten his family and say that since he's a good scientist, he has to come back to work for them. He says no. His wife gets killed, and they capture him. And then they go look for Jyn, and she's hiding inside like this like bunker somewhere. So her dad gets taken. She's left in this hole. She's just left in this like this bunker, like this hole or whatever. And Forrest Whitaker's character comes to pick her up. And Forrest Whitaker's actually pretty good in this movie. Like, he does not act like Forrest Whitaker. He acts like a completely different character. Like, he really gets into the role of his character in this movie. So, Jyn gets picked up by him, and he takes her. Now, apparently, this isn't really mentioned much in the movie, but I believe, like, she gets raised by him, or he doesn't really adopt her, but he takes her, and she grows up, like, on another planet, you know, amongst all these, like, people and stuff. But she still feels, like, abandoned by her father, and she feels abandoned by this guy that picked her up. So, fast forward into the future, and she's, like, a fugitive. She's kind of like a mercenary. And she's just living her life for herself. She's not really helping the rebels or the Imperials. You know, she's just on her own. And she's like in captivity. She's a mercenary, you know, type character. And she gets picked up by rebels. And they have secret plans. Like, they secretly want to use her to get to her father so they can kill him, but they don't tell her that, simply because her dad's responsible for the creation of the Death Star. And they have to get the plans, but that's later in the movie. So she meets up with this guy, played by Diego. I forget the name of the actor. I said his name before. Diego. Diego Luna, and he's really cool, you know. He's like a Han Solo type character. They even do like a short comparison where he shoots this guy. You know, he's a great actor. So she hangs out with him and his robot. So basically, with K2SO and a bunch of other characters are introduced, and each character has like their own role. Like you have the mechanic, engineer, electrician type character. You get like the strong shooter character, the sniper, the thief, you know, just different characteristics and all these like characters that are introduced in this gang. And Jin says that she wants to go like see her father and help to get the plans or whatever. And they trick her into going with them to find the plans. But it's really just to kill her dad. So they end up going to where her father is kept, and he accidentally dies. She later figures it out that they were planning on killing him, but she lets it go because they don't actually kill him. He dies because of the Imperials. But before her dad dies, he tells her that she has to get the plans and where to find them and how to stop the Death Star from being like fully completed or whatever. She decides to go back to the Rebel base, you know, commanders or whatever, and convince them that they need to go to the Death Star or whatever, this planet, and get the location and blueprints for the Death Star. And they don't really believe her, they don't want to go and stuff like that. So she basically says she's gonna go alone, and these guys that were with her, Donnie Yen and everyone else that she's met on various planets and stuff, decide to team up with her to save like the universe. So they all head out to this planet on like a secret mission. This is like the final part of the movie that's just amazing. Like I love it. I love it so much. Up until this point, the movie was really good, but then it goes to like fantastic. We visited like so many unique locations during this movie, but this final area just completely takes the cake. Like it's like a setting like Hawaii. There's like palm trees and like nice beaches, and then there's like stormtroopers everywhere. So they land with like a secret spacecraft, go aboard this like base, and they just have to sneak through it, steal the plans, and then they get discovered, and then it just becomes like a war movie. Everyone's dying. People are trying to survive as long as they can. The Death Star is like basically completed at this point, but the plans are still here. So you have Jin just climbing this like huge skyscraper, going through like all the floors and stuff to get this data. There's like a certain place in this data repository or whatever, and it's where all this like information is stored. So she's just going around here looking for the correct Death Star plans. She finds them, and then like they're shooting at her. She has to escape. She gets to like the roof of this like Imperial skyscraper base, whatever, and she meets up with like the main villain that's been tracking her throughout this movie. She takes him out, she gets some help, and at this point it's a little bit too late because the Death Star is closing by. Like it's on route to this base area, and they're all trying to transmit the Death Star plans to the people in outer space. Like there's a space battle going on while they're all fighting down here on the planet. And while they're trying to transmit this data, each one of their members slowly gets like killed. Like first it's one guy, then another guy, and each one's like really tragic. Like I wasn't expecting most of these characters to die, but you know, first we see one guy go, then we see the other one, then we see one guy almost get killed, but then he lives a little, and then he gets killed later. And each one is like doing a key role in trying to get these Death Star plans in outer space. They're trying to So it's like really hard. They finally get the plans out there, they capture the planet or whatever, enough, like they manage to get enough time to do everything they had to do, and then it's just Jin and her partner out here. And the Death Star basically is not fully completed, and they shoot like the Death Star ray at the planet that they're on right now at like a smaller percentage of its full power, but it eventually like completely destroys the gravity of this planet, so it just starts like sucking itself out into space, like it's destroyed from the core or whatever. And we get to see like a slow brief scene of them like saying farewell on this beach, and they're gone. Like everyone died on this planet trying to give this information back to the rebels, so they would have the Death Star plans. And it's like really sad, like one of the most emotional like endings to a Star Wars movie. And everyone in space like really happy, but still really sad that they managed to get the plans. So they start heading back to base, and then that's where Darth Vader's ship shows up. He's completely angry. He boards the ship with Princess Leia on it. And yeah, that's basically where A New Hope starts. It's really nice to see lots of the old classic characters returning in this movie. There's lots of brief cameos, characters that have appeared in the past. We see R2-D2 and C-3PO in a short scene. We get to see Leia Organa's stepfather, as you'd say, because her father, of course, is Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader. We get to see her stepfather a brief moment in this movie. We get to see some other characters, show up. Really good acting, really good action scenes. Music is amazing. Special effects are great. Overall, I give this movie like a high rating, easily an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 movie. It's one of the better Star Wars films in recent memory. I like it better than Force Awakens, and I really think Force Awakens is a great movie, but I feel like this one just had a little bit more uniqueness to it. Like, it tried lots of new things, and I think it succeeded. So, if you're a Star Wars fan, I highly recommend you go check this movie out. I don't think you're going to be disappointed by it, and I can't wait to buy it on Blu-ray when it comes out. Possibly watch it again. So yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this ASMR review ramble of Star Wars Rogue One. I hope it wasn't too boring or a little bit chaotic. Of course, it's a ramble, so I hope I didn't make too many mistakes. The movie's pretty complicated because I've only seen it once, and there's a lot of characters and lots of names to remember. But please be sure to like the video, comment, share, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at ASMR Gaming News, and I'll see you all next time. So long, and